Let's now take a look at a business-related story. Moody's, a renowned US-based rating agency, has recently adjusted Nigeria's outlook from stable to positive, emphasizing the country's financial health and reform efforts led by President Bola Tinubu. The agency confirmed the country's CAA1 long-term foreign and local currency issuer ratings, considering the potential reversal of fiscal and external deterioration due to ongoing reform initiatives. However, Moody's highlighted persistent weaknesses, including Nigeria's vulnerable fiscal and external positions, intensified inflationary pressures, and uncertainty surrounding oil production, including external funding. It cautioned about the challenging economic and social conditions in Nigeria, characterized by poverty, social disparities, and growing unrest due to inflation, which could impede or reverse the reforms. And now to discuss this, I'm being joined by Akin Fatunke, who is a chartered accountant. Akin, thank you so much for joining us on the news.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
So looking at this latest rating by Moody's, affirming Nigeria's CAA1 long-term foreign currency and local currency issuer ratings, does it mean that the Nigerian government is doing something right as regards the Naira, which is the country's legal tender, despite what we see in terms of its weakness against the dollar?
Well, the CAA1 rating, affirming that long-term, is coming on the heels of about the most depressed that we've had. But again, by way of short term, they have looked at it and said it's a bit stable on B, and they started a rapport from B- to B+. I think it's an indication that reforms have started since about February 2023, slow, getting steady. The international investors are staying on the sidelines and are watching and looking and seeing if those reforms are going to be sustained. However, the C11 minus in long term sits adequately with some inherent internal contradictions that still dovetails our processes. We are back to cash crunch. Where are we? We are still high on inflation. We are still high on unemployment. Poverty is still very, very much high. Revenue is still not raised. Loans are still coming, though at a much more efficient juncture in the history of our economy. And I think all put together, insecurity, food inflation still very, very high, and we are not getting the right decibels from our policymakers in terms of the kind of spending and the priority spending that is going on. So we are doing it right. Hopefully we'll be able to maintain the trajectory. CBN will be able to hold its head and help tame the inflation and help tame food security. And then, of course, the keys between the monetary and the the policy aspects will begin to yield fruits sooner than later.
No, no doubt that economic challenges are still there. But I'd like to also find out, looking at this new rating of CAA1, does it now mean that Nigeria is poised to get in more investments, maybe investments to deal with those critical areas of the economy that is still bedeviled with challenges?
I dare say yes. Yes, from the perspective of Mr. President's foray. It has been criticized that you better keep your garden with rose that are smelling nicely and odoriferous, which we still have not done. So there are promises here and there. Dr. Akinwumi Adesina was speaking just a few days ago about the desert to light and technology, of which Nigeria was going to be a prime benefactor in looking at solar energy and what have you. We also have the climate fund, again, for which Nigeria most likely will benefit if we continue to do the right things. So in the immediate terms, the promises are there. We need to now work the process, get much more effective and efficient in our loan distribution. We are opening again to loan distribution, and then going to be going into strict production as against wanting consumption and the ostentation that we see that is parading the space, which I believe the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces has to lead by personal example. Don't forget, we still have issues surrounding the labor. Yes, labor is key. They should be part of the stakeholders. We are beginning to see situations whereby, what should it be? Will it be all-encompassing? We are really yet to see it. Generally, a balance of payment situation seems to be improving. The CBN has made a decision to try and begin to repay the long-term debt owed to multinationals. But what we see in the marketplace now is a situation where multinationals are also voting with their legs. We need to be able to balance all those two, do the right thing, get the correct local content, and then stem the tide. I think it's good omen for Nigeria. I think it's good omen for the central bank that is now looking more at regulations, the capitalization.
Okay.
Nice signals that the banks are not distressed, contrary to what the social media seems to be saying.
Now,
no more, licensing of new banks, and banks will not have to henceforth be responsible for loan recoveries.
Now, Akin, some people are still concerned about if these new ratings will also affect Nigeria's bond offerings, and if at this time Nigeria could leverage on this rating to go for more Eurobonds, or they should wait for a more positive outlook. What do you think?
Well, I think we are still in the tenterhooks. We are still in the balance. Like I said, in the short term, we are beginning to see a bit of positive trusts. That trust will manifest itself at the end of the day if we can, walk the talk. The Eurobond market, I think, will react positively. NGC is, a bit of topsy-turvy, goes up bull here, the bears there the following day. We need to really align and make sure that our revenue capacity, which I think the fiscal tax policy seems to be addressing. I'm also happy that the coordinating minister for finance has made it clear that it's not going to be raising tax rates for those who are already paying taxes, but just to expand the tax net, make it much more efficient, ensure that the VAT thing that we had on diesel should also dovetail to some of our Greek products, in line with making sure we try and tame the inflation. But all put together, I think very early days, we continue to watch. We are not happy about some of the things we are seeing by way of our propensity to spend on giving goods are luxury goods that are not necessarily and tangentially necessary now by all agencies of government, especially the federal and the legislators.
Okay, thank you so much, Akin Fatunke. We will continue to monitor, most especially what other credit rating agencies would also give Nigeria probably in the coming days. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me.